What's up guys, my name is Andre and welcome to a new video. Today, something really annoying happened and I just said it was just enough. Enough is enough. The problem is, I have two GTX 970s ACX 2.0 from EVGA, and these cards currently they're not stable even at stock settings. So here's the deal. When I got the second card, which is this one, I had to replace the thermal paste because it was dry. So possibly the guy had never changed the thermal paste since he had bought the card, so I had to replace it myself once I got it. The first card I replaced the thermal compound as well, pretty much the same day as I replaced this one and installed the thermal paste on the CPU, the 3930K. Now, the problem is, even at stock settings, if I game at 4K for, I don't know, 20 minutes, the screen will go blank, and the computer will not display an image until I actually unplug it from the power and plug it back. So, yesterday I took the first card that I got apart to see how the thermal pads were, because I thought it was a VRM cooling problem because the temperature was normal. It's slightly high than for an ACX 2.0 fan, but still normal. And well, the thermal paste had dried in a month and a half. Or I think we're hitting like 2 months already or something. 2 months the thermal paste was dry. And then I decided, well, I'm not going. This was yesterday, like super late in the night. I saw this and I went like, okay, this is not good. I'm not going to take apart the second one because it's working fine, and I want my computer until I have the chance to get the thermal paste. So I didn't take the second one apart, and I'm sure that the CPU has about the same problem because even the CPU temperatures are quite high. 81C on a water cooler. Phew. So I went out and bought some thermal paste. This is 15 grams of standard, like your average run-of-the-mill white thermal paste. The thing is, I've been using this Implastec thermal paste for years, and always this has been my choice because it's cheap and it has always worked, and the thermal paste like lasts. It lasts quite a long time. The other one that I tried using was a Chinese brand called Spire. This one is a Brazilian brand. So the other Chinese brand is just totally rubbish, because how come can the thermal paste completely dry up? It was like a solid layer of thermal paste with only 1.5 months of usage. It just makes no sense. I'm actually going hysterical about this. So without further ado, the first thing I'm going to do, since I already cleaned this one, is I'm going to apply thermal paste in this one. I have already flipped the thermal pads because they go right over here to cool off the VRMs, which are right here. The chokes are right in front. And yeah, I need some toilet paper for this. I'll have to clean my fingers because this gets messy. So this is, when you say paste, this really is a paste. You don't have to mix it, you don't have to stir it from time to time, it just works, and it's a lot thicker. The other one was kind of like a liquid with oil. This one is just absolutely perfect. This one is what I know as a thermal paste. This one is just perfect. I'm going to try to apply a good layer of it, and that's pretty much it. I'll have to do the same with the CPU. This is 15 grams of thermal paste in that little pot over there. And this chip, every time I take these cards apart, I always go like, man, this chip is massive. I believe it's 398 millimeters squared. This is quite a large chip. This is as large as the die inside my 3930K, which is a 6-core CPU. Anyway, let's put the card back together. One thing that people, well, at least I didn't know, because these are my first like high-end graphics cards, is that you don't have to unscrew this plate from here. It's more like a structural reinforcement plate. You can see the metal ribs and everything. Let's just put this card back together. Just plug back the fan in. Some fins are crushed in here. Suppose that won't affect cooling. Let's just plug this back. sit it in there. Hopefully. Okay, there's a little indentation here. And we flip the card over. Line this. I can already feel that the heatsink is sliding on the thermal paste, which is a good sign. That's exactly what it's going to do in the years ahead. Because I really hope. I don't wish. I also wish, but I hope that this thermal paste is going to last at least 2 years in here, because these, I mean, mainly what kills the thermal paste compound is the heat cycles. You know, you go from gaming to browsing, gaming to browsing, gaming to browsing, and that stress, that thermal stress on the compound, on the chemicals, whatever, of the thermal paste are really what causes the problem. So this is the first graphics card I bought, the first GTX 970. And it's done. Now let's move to the second one. This one I have not taken apart yet to take a look at how the thermal compound is. But I suppose it's going to be about the same. Let's take a look. I just love how they attach this massive heatsink with only 4 screws, and what holds the heatsink in place is the board. So the board has to be quite strong. Since it isn't, because it's PCB, I don't know what exactly these boards are made out of. So they have this metal rib thing right over here. Let's take a look. Holy balls. Much of the same. This is just awful. Okay. Brilliant. Let's clean the old thermal paste. Ah, my microphone ripped. Go ahead and clean the old thermal paste. I'm just spitting alcohol everywhere. Okay, this one wasn't dry, but the layer of thermal paste was much less than recommended, so to speak. Well, as in a video made by Jace 2 Cents, over applying thermal paste on the GPU is not going to hurt it. So, as I did in there, I applied quite a generous layer of thermal paste. Okay, so the actual thermal paste on the GPU was quite dry then. Not on the heatsink. It was still a little bit liquid because the card was hot when I took it out. Because before recording this video, this specific card was running in my system. The other one I had taken off and it was just sitting there all night, resting, for the first time in months, because I never shut off my computer. I just don't feel the point. Like, sure, from time to time I restart it, but really I just like to come back from, I don't know, college or whatever I was doing without my computer. I just like to sit down and use it. I don't like to have to wait for everything to load and the hard drive is slow because I don't have an SSD or anything. It just sucks. So I just prefer to have my computer always turned on. And also, one thing that one of my teachers, he is the guy that was here with me when I was assembling the computer. You guys were joking that Jesus and Fidel Castro were building a PC. That's the teacher I'm talking about. He told me that actually leaving the computer on 24/7, not under stress all the time, actually is actually beneficial to the components, because the components themselves also suffer from heat cycles, and even more so that happens when you turn off the computer, because then all the heat is gone and they are left to cool down, and then as you know, metal expands and contracts with the heat cycles. The same with graphics cards, and that's why we have BGA problems. Anyone remembers the fiasco of the 8800 GTXs? I actually repaired one of these cards recently by reflowing it in the oven, doing the famous oven trick, and it works. That was actually the first time that I did the oven trick on a graphics card, and it worked. So, you got a dead or artifacting GTX 8800 GTX or whatever, just bake it in the oven. actually feel confused when I you know, prepare these cards or do whatever with them, because they're just so identical. It makes sense. Well, I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm gonna flip the VRM pads for my head's sake. I want to try something different. I don't know if it was actually the thermal paste causing me issues, because the thermal diode inside the chip can actually report wrong values if the card goes above the temperature, or it can report false values, which I think it was happening here. Maybe the cards were the GPU themselves were way hotter than they should, and I was just not aware of. So, same, put it in here. There's a little notch in the I/O here that tells me where to put the... Later I took the card apart and fixed this, so don't worry. The damn thing, if the wires will allow me. The wires of the fan are quite stiff, and I just align the holes down here. And there you go. It's easy as cake. Seriously, I spent this pot, the small can of thermal paste, cost me 10 Brazilian dollars, roughly, I don't know, 3.3 USD, $3.3 US. And there was this other tube. It was actually like much like a toothpaste tube, you know, the other one that was there of the same brand, but it was 10 grams. This is 15 grams, so it was the same price. For 10 bucks, I got 15 grams, and the other one, which was a toothpaste tube shaped, was costing the same price, but it came with only 10 grams, so 50% more thermal paste for the same price. That's awesome. Okay, so now we're going to aim for the system, where I'm going to take off the radiator for the first time since I assembled this machine, and take a look at how the thermal paste in there fared, because as I remember, the thermal paste was just not enough when I applied it. It was just beyond not enough to cool off the system. So let me just put these cards aside. Next month I'm gonna try to buy a case to finally finish this system, because it's not complete at the state that it is. I still gotta get a better case for it. Put these aside. I don't know if I'll actually flip the computer over, because that might be useless. I might just bring the camera closer. So this is the 3930K I've been using for the last 2 months. It's been working greatly, just great. But the temperatures are a little bit too high for a CPU, for a water-cooled CPU as it is. So I believe that since I used the same shitty thermal paste in there, probably the same problem has happened, and I remembered that I hadn't applied enough thermal paste in there. So I'm going to replace it and apply a proper, generous layer of thermal paste in the CPU as well. So first, let me just take off this fucking mess of a thingamajig in here. Yep, that's a lot of dust. Holy crap. Okay. Let's use a flathead to unscrew the radiator. These are thumb nuts, or thumb screws, or whatever. But I think I tightened them a little bit too much. Should have done this on a diagonal way, not in a sequential way. Okay. Oh boy, yep, it's dry. I can see from here already. Woo! Take a look at that. That's not good. Let's clean this mess. Now the reason why you can kind of see me in the CPU, it's because this is a lapped 3930K. So that's that. That's a good layer. That's not enough to cool a 3930K. I don't know what is. There we go. It's completely white on the camera for me, but it's not in real life. While I'm at it, before installing back the radiator, I'm just gonna give this radiator a good brush. That's a lot of dust. Should be using a toothbrush for this, but I don't have one at hand right now. This is gonna be enough. That's a lot of dust though. Very fine dust too. Sorry for the bad camera angle. It's just way too difficult to take this computer off because the cables are hanging all from that side. They're arching over, so there's no way I can take this computer off of here and lay it on its side. This is why I need to get a case ASAP. Let's give it a final tug without tightening too much. And this is it. Might put this back in here. And stuck this fan in here again. And now we can go ahead and install back the two graphics cards in the system. And since the sound chip died on my motherboard, I went out and bought two brand new Realtek chips to replace in there. But a friend of mine who had a rework station kind of moved out. So I'm just gonna later, like in the future, like I don't know, in a month or two, I'm gonna hire someone to do this on my board professionally instead of trying to do it myself with a rework station. And I'm really sorry about the mess. This case just doesn't look good whatsoever. And there I installed a fan in the back just to blow some cool air through those cards so that they don't have to do the job all by themselves. Let me just push this back into place. And we're pretty much done. Here we go. Computer takes a while to turn on. There we are. I want to get into the BIOS just to take a look at just take a first glance at the temperature. 33°C seems fair to me. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a like if you liked it, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.